Welcome to Night Stories Live. I'm Aaron Calafato. I'll be your storytelling guide in the dark. Think of Night Stories as nostalgic, late night radio built for the YouTube age. Every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, we gather here for nostalgic stories, late night reflections, and a little space to unwind and relax together. This isn't TV, this isn't video, this isn't a podcast replay. It's live, unscripted, and built for storytelling fans like you. So, settle in. Let the day fade. Everything you've been going through, let it fade and share your memories in the chat as we make our way from today into tomorrow. And let's see where the story takes us. It's 11:05 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Aaron Calafato. I'll be your storytelling guide tonight, your voice in the dark. Wherever you are, coast to coast, East Coast, Central Time, you in that mountain time, I get you. West Coast, welcome. And all over streaming at 7minutestoriespod.com/night stories, streaming on YouTube, and we're also streaming on Riverside, which is my private studio here, commercial free. I put the link in the chat. If you signed up for that link and you did it within the last couple hours, you will get an email shortly. And so hang with us wherever you're at, and you'll get a link in the next 24 hours in your email. So going forward, you can join us at any time, commercial free in the studio, and still have the same chat features and everything like that. Again, my name is Aaron Calafato. Welcome. If you're kind of running around my YouTube page, feel free to check out all the different content there. There's short stories. There is the new sister podcast I'm doing called The Storytelling University. There's audio feed for where my main audience lives, which is in the audio world of 7 Minute Stories, and that podcast, which has touched 30 million ears in the last 2 years. And now you can join every Thursday when I'm doing this Night Stories thing, which has been just amazing because I'm a huge fan of radio. In fact, Night Stories, the whole idea here is this is like radio for the YouTube age, kind of going back to basics. The pre show and the theme of the night is why fall is the best season. A lot of caveats there to get through. I know some people don't have a traditional fall. Where do you live? Okay. But man, I got some stories. I know there's already comments coming in, and you have some stories yourself. What's your favorite fall tradition? Even if you see it in the movie and you haven't done it, you go into an apple orchard. You go into the pumpkin patch. How about that? Man, I'm gonna walk. Let's walk through the perfect fall day. What are some of the things you love doing in the fall? And through all of this here in the next few hours, I'd love to make a contention that fall is without a doubt the best season. Now, hear me out. I didn't say the best holiday, right? Because it's a season. I'm not saying, I'm just saying the best season. And we'll get into the nuances of that and have some fun along the way. Before I get started, I do want to mention a couple things. As a storyteller, I know what I do. I know the things I don't do well, and I know the things I do well. And one of the things I love is sharing stories as a form of connection. And the wild thing here is I am mm, it's not lost on me how wild stuff is across the board in so many of our lives, some more than others. It's not lost on me. I just wanted to say that because this show is about nostalgia, it's about storytelling, it's about connection in a universal sense. And I really mean that, not in like a woo woo sense, but a real, sincere form of connection, really through the storytelling radio vibe. But it's not lost on me. And so I wanted for anyone tuning in and all of you streaming all over the place, uh, it's important to acknowledge that sometimes things are really, really hard. And there are sort of existential things that happen in America where we're all kind of wrestling with stuff. So I'm not equipped to dive deeper into what that means. I have my own feelings and thoughts, but here's what I'd tell you. Um, I do believe that the authentic sharing of stories and connection like this, there's something good about it. There's something unifying about it. So let's do that tonight. I'm not trying to overthink it, but sometimes I wonder when things happen, and now that the audience has grown over the years, it's like, is he thinking about that, or is he going to say something? I am, and so this is my way of saying I'm right there with you. But what I have to offer are nights like this, and like in the pre-show open where it says, "Wash the day away." Try to take a moment for yourself to reflect wherever you are, wherever you stand, whatever your thoughts are, your viewpoint. Just take a moment and let's share some stories and let's reflect on stuff and have fun in the process. Okay, I'm going to get through some of these comments before I start ripping off some stories. So, first, let's see. We have, wow, there's a lot of people in this Riverside studio. I think we have over 117 this time. It's about the same as we had last time, which is awesome. So, thank you all for joining here. I'm going to try to get to some of your comments. We also have, like I said, folks on YouTube, and that has a chat feature. I think some of the other places too as well. So, keep hitting me up in the chat. I have sort of, it's all unifying here in the joint chat, and I'll get to all of them. Fall tradition. Uh, Mike, pumpkin pie. Yeah, well, you gotta have pumpkin pie. There isn't anything quite like pumpkin pie, though. You know what I'm saying? There's something, and I'm not a dessert person. I'm really not. Uh, I'm not a dessert person. I'm not like a sweets person. I do a coffee after dinner, a little coffee, a little espresso. But pumpkin pie, man, that's a beautiful fall tradition. What else we got? Oh, I see Dwayne here. And Dwayne, you're one of those people as well that signed up for the email list. Yeah, you should be getting a link in the next 24 hours or so. So ping me if you don't, but you should get one, and then you could basically show up in the Riverside studio here with so many folks and still use the chat feature. But Dwayne says Costco Costco pumpkin. You got to tell me a little bit more about that one, Dwayne. Talk to me about the Costco pumpkin pie. Is it different? Does it have a set of ingredients that surpasses all other pumpkin pies? Man, my mom, she makes a mean pumpkin pie. The key thing with the pumpkin pie is the crust. Would you agree? Got to have the filling. The filling's important. Get a little nutmeg in there, some cinnamon. I don't know what they do. I've never made a pumpkin pie, but the crust is a huge factor. Now, here's another question. This is just coming to mind. Do you do pumpkin pie warm or cold? Do you prefer it cold out of the refrigerator or warm right out of the oven? There's a pumpkin pie question for you. Angel says pumpkin patches. Hey, if you go around anywhere in Northeast Ohio, you know where you can find me? At a pumpkin patch. Or stopping on the side of the road to get some pumpkins or some gourds. Here's the thing. We're on it. Like I said, it's one of those days. It's 9/11. There's a history of sadness on this day, but we're pushing into uh, mid September, and there's a question here about like when is it okay to start putting gourds and pumpkins on your porch? I, I don't know if there's a definitive date. I've been told by Corey, my wife. She said, "Dude, can't start putting pumpkins on the porch until September 15th." She's given me a deadline, September 15th. Because as soon as it's September 1st, I'm running out. I'm looking to go to a pumpkin patch. I'm ready to go out there and find a gourd because they start coming up around that time. But then the question is, do we give enough time for the summer to end? As you all well know, if you've been around these parts listening to these stories, I'm so happy when the summer is ending because the heat. In Northeast Ohio, wherever you're tuning in from, I don't know how the weather is there. We had fake fall. We had fake fall, folks. It's it pops up on the I'm looking at the thing. Oh, it's 60s. It's 40s at night. I got the windows down. I'm wearing a hoodie. I am in the Goldilocks zone when it comes to temperature. The kids are saying it's cold. Put on a sweatshirt. Hey, it's sleeping weather. Oh, see, I'm already getting into why already. I'm pushing too far into why fall is great, but let's scale it back a little bit. I was talking about the dates. When is an appropriate date to start putting pumpkins on your porch? I can't tell you how many times I've been driving by a farm out in the outskirts here, out in the rural country roads where I like to take a drive sometimes just to clear my mind. And I see that farmer that's usually selling vegetables. I see a few of those pumpkins. I see you. I see those gourds. I see that harvest time. And I just want to start putting them on my porch. Corey was like, you got to wait till September 15th. I need to lead into fall because here's the thing, it's a slippery slope with pumpkins and gourds because you know what comes right there? Right after that? Halloween stuff. Now, Halloween is second favorite holiday. It's Halloween. Okay. I'm not going to, it just for me, it is. I love the whole build up. And it's not even the day itself, it's just the whole essence, the weather, the sort of the haze of the evening, the campfire, this whole thing, right? I love it. But Halloween stuff starts popping up really early too. I swear it wasn't September, and you know Spirit Halloweens are popping up in a strip mall near you. We already have one here. They're opening up, and I'm thinking to myself, is it? That's a little early. See, I'm going through all the kind of the sort of the questions, the negatives about when does fall start, when doesn't it start? Because the rest of this time, it's going to be all fall love. That's what we're going to be talking about. But really, okay, I can get down with waiting to September 15th. I've conceded there. I'm going to wait till September 15th, and then I'm starting to load the porch up with gourds. Maria, great to see you. As usual, fall tradition, small town trick or treating after dark. There it is. See, you're already going in to the Halloween season. We're already moving into October. Sometimes I feel like in fall, September, and by the way, I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying sometimes there's so much excitement in fall that September kind of gets jumped over sometimes. But I think September is problematic because September, even though we consider it like it's the start of fall, it's pretty much summer. I mean, technically, if you look, I'm gonna just let me guess, and then I'll do some actual research live here. I think the technical summer ends on September 22nd. If I'm right, let me see if I'm right. Summer end date. And I promise you, I didn't. It's September 22nd. I didn't look that up, but I always remembered that where it's like, wait, I was actually stunned that summer technically goes all the way into the near the end of September. I always considered September the month a fall month. And you know what? I still do. I don't care what the calendar says. It's the start of fall. It's the preamble. Because if you don't count September, you basically only have a month or two because the fall season goes technically deep into December. A lot of people don't realize it. You go, I think it's December 22nd, technically fall, right? So here's my point. I consider September, October, November, fall, maybe the first couple weeks of December, and then winter is that mid December all the way through. Okay. Now, check this out. Let's go through and look at some more comments. Mike's back again. He says I'm getting Mike says I'm getting hardcore about the months, and he loves it. He says I'm going. He goes deep cut about month ratio to fall ratio. Mike, I, look. I have to do it. This is what goes through my brain. This is why I got it fills up all day, and I got to share it with you. Maria was talking about that fall tradition, small town trick or treating after dark, going into November. What a time! I love trick or treating. We're going to get to that tonight, and then great point, Maria, about the pumpkin rule. I actually might have to say this to Corey. I might have to say, Corey, if you pick them, you can place them. And then she might go, yeah, you can. And then you could put them September 15th. But I love you. I love it. If you can pick them, you can place them. But that is always a beautiful thing to see. To me, that's sort of the signifier of fall, that harvest that comes along. What are some of the things that you see and feel in the air, in the sky, at night? What are some of the things that pop up to you that signify the fall? Like take away the calendar stuff, take away even the changing landscape of the department store. Did we have those anymore? I still call them the department store. I'm saying when you go into stores, they know a lot of people actually base their seasons around when Target switches up or whatever store you go to switches up because they're already ahead seasonally from the marketing standpoint for the consumer standpoint. They already got stuff going, but see, they too they're moving stuff early. They're moving product early. And so they're not always in line there. But what are some of the things that you see that makes fall? Dwayne coming in hot with the comment about the Costco pumpkin pie. I asked Dwayne earlier, what makes Costco pumpkin pie? Nice big pie, only $6.99. Don't eat the crust. It must be smothered in Cool Whip. So you don't eat the crust. Interesting. See, Dwayne, here we go. I'm talking about pumpkin pie and the crust being essential. Here you are flipping that psychology on its head, and you're saying, look, it's the pie filling. I don't even eat the crust, and then you smother it in Cool Whip. The Cool Whip's a great feature. That is a fall feature. But pumpkin pie, I always do a cup of coffee by pumpkin pie too. Some people do milk. I'll tell you what, Dwayne, if my mom ever makes a pumpkin pie and we can find a way to ship it to you out there on the West Coast, I'm sending you some. I'm telling you, try some of that crust. Your mind's gonna be blown. Oh my gosh, Maria, today is my wedding anniversary and my parents' wedding anniversary. Early fall is the bluest skies and the best fireside nights. Perfect for weddings. You know what? I you know what I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Still working on the sound effect game, but guess what? We're taking a pause because we're doing a round of applause. Here it is. Maria, happy wedding anniversary. Happy wedding anniversary. And also what a wonderful thing for your parents as well and the fact that it's the same day. And you're absolutely right. Early fall is the bluest skies. I mean, it's poetry. I'm going to read this. Early fall is the bluest skies and the best fireside nights. Perfect for weddings. I can't tell you there hasn't been a fall wedding that I've been to that I didn't love. You get that warmth during the day, get that cool crispness at night. You're spot on. No wonder people get married during that time. No wonder. It's that mixture. It's that perfect essence. Happy anniversary to you, and obviously the fact and your parents' anniversary as well is beautiful. That's a wonderful thing. Thank you for sharing that. You're right. Love always wins. Dwayne's uh, the only crust I like is graham cracker. Listen, I respect it. You have a vision of crust, graham cracker crust. It's underrated, and I agree with you. Graham cracker crust is fantastic. Carlos is saying apple pie. With question mark, is apple pie fall? Carlos, that's a great question. Great question. Is apple pie fall? You know, it's funny. Maybe some of the listeners can tap into that in addition. Is apple pie fall? I never thought of it that way. I mean, I think any kind of pie, you start getting into the pie zone, you're going pumpkin pie. To me, that's always kind of a fall thing, but pumpkin pie to me always was the fall thing. Apple, you can do an apple pie in the summer. Maybe I'm wrong, but it has to do with the harvest, right? That's the thing is like I say and I talk about the love I have for farmers and rural America, but here's reality: I'm a suburban kid and previously an urban kid, so like I'm learning. I have family that lived out on the farm. I've had experiences out there, but I don't know enough about that stuff. Like I need to get the farmer's almanac and get to work. Someone, I need a farmer's almanac in here. It's all about the harvest, right? Like Maria was saying, it's like if you can grow it, you can put it on your porch with the pumpkins and the gourds. There is something seasonally. That's when that harvest is coming, and that's when you start doing the canning because you got to prepare for that winter. Historically, the ancestors prepared for the winter, and they're canning the stuff. They got the apples, they got the fruits, and you're freezing stuff, and you're salting stuff. You're putting meat in the freezer, right? Fall is an, and I'm going to get to this here later in the evening. Fall is a very interesting psychological experience too, and it goes in line with Halloween, and it goes in line with the start of winter and the death of the year. Fascinating. Dwayne agrees that apple pie is fall. Apple pie is fall. At least, hey, Amy says yes. Nick says yes. Okay, I've been proven. I'm not saying I didn't say it was apple pie. I'm just don't come. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I didn't say it's apple pie. I'm saying I've always just thought of it as kind of a year-round thing, but maybe it is. I'm going to get to some of these stories tonight. Before I do, I'm going to do one more station ID here. Station, and uh, and then I'll get into some of the fall stories to prove the thesis that I have this evening of why fall is the greatest season of them all. For those of you just tuning in, my name is Aaron Calafato. You're listening to Night Stories. We're at 11:27 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for joining me. We're streaming everywhere, YouTube, on Riverside here. I put the link where you can get the commercial free link. If you don't have that YouTube Premium, you can subscribe to my 7 Minute Stories newsletter. We only put a few emails out a year and some reminders here and there. That's it. But you get free access, commercial free access to the studio. And you can still use the chat feature. In fact, you have your own little chat feature. So some of you will see those chats, who are in the studio, the folks who are on YouTube see their chats. It's all kind of diversified, but then I see all of them flow into one space, which is great. Oh, here we go. The first thing I notice, and Maria brought this up in a comment about fall, is the sky. Something starts changing. Now, in the summertime, I'm usually just covering my eyes, not trying to get blinded by the sun. No offense, summertime people. We're almost to the end. And even though we had fake fall, even though we had, at least here in Northeast Ohio, we had fake fall, or it was fall for a couple weeks, and all of a sudden it's like, we're back, it's 80 degrees. To me, I have to push back on some sadness there. I already had the flannels out. I'm rocking the flannels. I'm rocking the boots and the jeans. I'm ready for that moment, in the morning where it's a little bit cold, where my feet hit the ground, and I want to get those socks on right away. I'm loving that cup of coffee on a fall morning, really, and winter too, but fall is the start of when you start really appreciating a cup of coffee, that warm cup of coffee. I'm one of these maniacs that drinks coffee year round hot. Once in a while, when it's like 100, I'll do an iced coffee. But I'm that person where I'm in the line at Dunkin' Donuts or wherever I'm getting my coffee on the road. And it's like, it's 98 degrees. Would you like Dunkin' Donuts? Yeah, let me get a medium hot, two and two. Did you say hot coffee? Yeah, I said medium hot, as in hot coffee. You want hot coffee? It's 100 degrees, sir. I said I want hot coffee. They got to brew it fresh because no one does it that way. Fall is a beautiful moment because things start changing in the sky, in the smell, in the lighting. And that morning with that cup of coffee, you notice it. You notice it. Look out your window. Again, for those of you who don't have seasons in the way that we do, or if it's just warm all the time there, or cold all the time, picture this. It's been 80, 90 degrees for the last month. It's August, dog days of summer. You're exhausted. You ran out of all your money because the kids were home and you tried to make it the best summer ever. You did some good things and maybe you did some things that weren't great from a financial standpoint, but you're starting fresh. The kids are back in school. You're ready to start your year. Really, to me, the start of the year, even though it's January, I feel like it's almost like September for me as a start of the year. That's when we premiere my podcast. By the way, next week is the premiere, the season 6 premiere of 7 Minute Stories. Make sure you tune into that this coming Thursday, wherever you get your podcasts. So there's a lot of things starting in September. School starts in September. Football starts late August for college pro in September. A lot of the seasons, there's so many things going on. You got baseball happening in September. You have football in October, late October, NBA starts. It's still warm enough where there's golf. I don't watch golf, but my point is so much activity. There's so much activities. September, October, November. Those dates are incredible. Those months are incredible. So many things going on at once. But when you're having that hot cup of coffee, Megan says she's a tea person. Respect it, Megan. Have that cup of tea. Earl Grey, Megan. Have Earl Grey. Oh, there it is. Maria says she makes her hot chocolate coffee when I wake up to the first frost. There it is. See, you're taking me right there. When you're holding that cup of hot chocolate coffee or espresso, whatever you got going, you go to Dunkin', you have an espresso machine, you're a aficionado, whatever you're doing, looking out that window, picture this, especially you Midwesterners, you know what's coming. And it happened actually. We got down to 40, 42 a couple of times. A little bit of frost, a little bit. But that first frost in the morning, and you're looking out the window, I got a dad pose going on. I'm looking out in my backyard like I actually did something. Like I woke up like I accomplished something. Aaron, you accomplished something by waking up and getting upstairs without having to take an ibuprofen. You have accomplished a lot, sir. Congratulations. So I'm staring out that window. I got that cup of coffee, and you're looking at that first frost. The first thing I do is I open up the sliding glass door, and then the air changes. Now we're cooking. Now it's fall. And you can smell it in the air. There's something. I don't know if it's the leaves that are starting to change and fall. I don't know if it's the wind. I don't know if there's something in it. There's a sweetness in it. You're smelling it. I take a deep breath. I'm telling you, it might be good medicine. I'm not a doctor, but just check this out. Have that cup of coffee, open up that sliding glass, and if you're in a climate where you get that nice 48-degree, 52-degree kind of cool air, take a deep breath. It heals you up. To me, it just purifies the body after summertime because summer's wild. Feel gross in the summer. Taking 16 showers a day. But that cool air with a hot cup of coffee, that to me is that first moment of fall. And then there's the smell. It's like someone is having a permanent bonfire. Maria mentioned that the fireside nights. I think I realize what it is, Maria. I think it's almost like there's so many people in the suburbs and the outer ring suburbs and even the country. Everyone's having fires in the evening, and then the fires go down, right? And it kind of gets cold and they get put out. But the smoke from the wood still is steaming and it goes throughout the night and it permeates the air. And you're just sitting there and you're taking that deep breath and you realize fall is on the horizon. We're starting it. I get fired up. Fired up. We did a countdown to September in my house. The kids thought I was nuts. What are you talking about? We're almost there. I know technically not fall, but I'm making September fall. I don't care what they say. It's the start of fall. It's a warm fall, but it's the start of fall. They're on board now. 11 days in now. We're going 15 days in. Now this is where, now we're in prime fall territory, and it only gets better from here. Let's get back to some of these comments. Megan was talking about tea. Kyle, great to see you. Kyle asked, who under 70 drinks, who under 70 years old drinks hot tea? You know what's wild? Kyle, my youngest son, I believe is an 89-year-old man because this man wants herbal tea all the time. And in the evening, he's like, can you please boil me some water for a cup of tea? And I go downstairs sometimes. He's sitting, chilling in sweatsuit. He's like an Italian, real Italian American in the making. Except he should have coffee, but he's going for the tea. He's got the sweatsuit, one leg crossed, just watching Jeopardy and having some tea. It's incredible. It's incredible. Ah, Maria says tea goes along with being a plant parent, according to my kid. That's a great point. I heard that. I heard that Gen Z is about the tea. I got my daughter into the coffee thing again, probably because all I'm talking about is fall time and the coffee. She's 12, and I know there's the whole thing. Don't do coffee. I give her a little bit of coffee, okay? I think I could be wrong, but they say stunts your growth. Maybe I don't know. I think that might be what they call old wives' tale or old husband's tale, whatever it is. My point is, we have a little bit of coffee, and fall. And look, all the big chain, the local cafes know it, but all the big chain, Starbucks knows that stuff. They're preying on every pumpkin spice. They're out of the gate August 20th, little early. See, here I go with the deadlines. Corey's got me going with the deadlines, little early. I do like a September 1st. You got to get me to the first before you start offering pumpkin spice. I think you got to. I'm not trying to take anybody's fun away. I'm saying for me, I actually will avoid looking at menus. If I see the flash of pumpkins somewhere and it's late August, I go, don't, I can't, I'm not ready. I want to suffer through this summer, and then September 1st, it's like a day where I'm born again. It's unbelievable. Dwayne says, a nice warm cup of winter vanilla. I think that's chai tea. Oh, should try to add a little condensed milk. Dwayne, you're getting one of these. See, you guys thought this was night stories. People in the community are helping each other try new types of teas. I love a chai tea. I haven't tried it with the condensed milk. I've had a bunch of different coffees with condensed milk. Love that suggestion, Dwayne. So that's that morning with fall, and I see a bunch of more comments streaming. I'm going to get to them here in a second, but let's keep going on the storyline of fall and what makes it the best season ever. So now you go through the morning, and that kind of sweet smoke campfire smell. It lasts throughout the whole day. I love it. I'll start driving. I hit that window, and I let that smell come in there. I take a breath, and all these memories flood back to me about the fall. That's the other thing. To me, it's a season of memories. They replay in my head all the time. I'm driving, I got the window down, I get the fall smell, and then I can think about the first time I was jumping in leaves. Maybe not the first time, the time I can remember. The amount of leaves here, and I know a lot in the Midwest, but in the Northeast, oh my God, you got to pile them up like mountains. And I realize as a person who deals with some allergies, I was probably not doing myself any favors, neither were my parents. But they would rake the leaves into these giant mountains of watercolors. And as a kid, I remember I'm like, I'm going in, diving into the leaves, swimming through the leaves, spitting out the leaves. Now, it was great. I will say, as I'm romanticizing this, that, sometimes you get a wet leaf. That kind of sucked. Maybe there was a slug on the leaf. That's not a good thing. Ah, there's a slug. You eat some leaf. There's a little fiber. You'll be okay. And then I was always itching. So I was wondering, why am I itching all the time? Probably had allergies, and here I am swimming in leaves. But as a kid, what a memory. Did you do that when you were a kid? Did you have leaves where you were growing up? I mean, everyone's got, you know what I'm trying to say, fall leaves. Where you, because here's the thing, the neighborhood I'm in now, we're very lucky in the sense that we see all the beautiful leaves, and there's so many trees. It's like Tree USA here, and I love it. But we have this tree that has these little tiny leaves, but they kind of dissolve, they get blown away. I swear we're the only house on the block that doesn't get all the leaves in our front yard, backyard. In fact, everyone else is, and we're the only clear lawn in the neighborhood. I think people are like, "What's going on with this?" Because we're enjoying it on our porch, and I'm sitting there on the porch, Corey and I'm just seeing everybody with the leaf blower. I know those things are fun, but listen, after a while, it's like I can't do this anymore because you're using the leaf blower, and then the wind fights you back, puts you back right where you started. So maybe for some people, that's why fall isn't their favorite season because they got to rake leaves. See, I'm realizing now my thesis might be right for me, but maybe not right for everybody else. I think it's a good lesson to learn because I don't have to rake any leaves, and I just have the memory of being a kid who dove in leaves and had fun there. But that's one thing. The pile of leaves are are a beautiful thing, and they have a smell too. They got a really awesome smell. What's really weird to think about, and I did as a kid, and I think about now, it's like these leaves are dead. Right? So the beauty, and I'm going to do my little poetic thing at the end here, but it is interesting to think about it, right? We see the beauty in these leaves that fall, but they're at the end of a process. They're at the end of the lifespan that season, and I always thought how beautiful the colors, how beautiful the smell, how beautiful the experience in a state of um, being in the twilight when it comes to these trees dying. It's an interesting contradiction. Oftentimes we don't associate those two things with beauty and loss. But in this case, there's the loss of it, uh, but there's also the beauty there. That's a pretty cool thing. I'm driving down that street. It got that fall smell coming in. I remember me, as a kid diving in the leaves. And then you start thinking about Halloween, the costumes. Now, let me know in the comments here because this could be a whole night stories of itself. And we're going to be doing a night stories where we talk about preferences for Halloween and stuff like this. And I've talked a little bit about this in my stories. I am a person that likes a spooky Halloween. I'm like a kid. I like a G-rated Halloween. But I do love the idea of that season. So now you're through September. Maybe before I get to Halloween, let's talk a little bit about. We didn't talk enough about what else do you do, right? So we talked about leaves. We talked about coffee in the morning. You talked about your pumpkin spice. That's cool. The question is, and I was saying this, Corey earlier was saying we can't put pumpkins on the porch. Oh, I see you there too, Corey. Love you. Yeah, actually, Maria was saying, and I told her I would tell you this, that I think she said something. If you can grow them, you can set them or something like that. I was like, I'll tell Corey that. But I was also saying Corey's going to say if you can grow them or if they're grown, then you can put them somewhere, but in the garage until September 15th. But I see your point, Corey. You can't rush into it. Okay, but let's say we've hit that September 15th deadline. We're almost there. Yeah, 4 or 5 days away. So as soon as this happens, and she'll tell you this. Oh yeah, if you can pick them, You can place them. Never be sorry, Maria. Never be sorry about advice like that. Oh, Chad, welcome. It's great to see you as well. That's awesome. Man, lots of, so this is so great. So many people here all over the place. I'll try to fish through these. Okay, so all the new folks joining us, jump on here. Let's see where the story takes us. So you hit that September 15th date. Are you going to a pumpkin patch? Do you have one nearby? Do you have a favorite pumpkin patch? As a dad, mom, uncle, the whole thing. Whatever you do, whatever role you play, do you have that place that you go? Let's go over to McCormick's farm. I'm just making this up, but you know what I'm saying? Let's get over to McCormick's. They got the best pumpkin selection in the land. That's my impression of me, by the way. Ask my family. Let's get over to that. And you know what you can do on that day? One of my favorite days of the year is when we go to the apple orchard and we get to the apple orchard. We do some apple picking. Corey knows this. One of our first dates. I take her every year, and each year, you know, it's been fake fall, so it's been too hot. I'm hoping this year when we go, we get that nice cool day. But we go to that apple orchard, get a get a bucket, start picking apples. You see the people from all over the city. People show up. You can tell they're dressing up like they live in the country. It's the urban folks who dress up for a day. They got the boots. They got the jeans, right? So they got the flannels. It's like a costume. It's like pre-Halloween, and they show up. Oh man, but it's great. And you walk around, you pick the apples, maybe sneak a bite. Careful. Got to watch out for the bees and the wasps and the hornets because that time of year too, they are wild. They're aggressive. They're trying to live too. They're gathering stuff. There's a whole thing going on in the hive. But the sweetness of the apples and the fruits and the harvest that comes from that in the last remaining months of the year. Mm, so many memories there. And all I want to do is share it with my family now. Corey and I share it all the time at this apple orchard. We go there, and then don't forget that apple cider. When you go back, look, you got the apples, and you maybe bring them home. You can make some apple pie with them. Like I think it was Megan earlier was talking about like pumpkin pie. I think Mike was talking about too. Is like, oh, or I'm sorry, apple pie. Is apple pie a fall thing? Okay, maybe make some apple pie. Maybe just eat them straight up. Maybe you have it with caramel, however you say it. Have a little bit of some apples with that, but you're getting that cider. Get the apple cider cold and crisp. Maybe some caramel apples on the stick. Oh, get out of town. You're telling me you don't put those things in your trunk? You got a cold thing of apple cider, maybe a liter. Hell, get a couple of gallons. Go ahead, put it on me. Put it on me. Get a couple gallons apple cider, maybe in a glass container, ice cold. Some people like hot cider. Some people do a hot toddy, right? Slip a little something in there. Okay, that's a beautiful thing too. But you're telling me you don't look in the back seat and you see all those apples and the cider and the caramel, and that doesn't tell you that this is the best season of all time just from that damn car ride. Just crown it right now, just from that car ride. We're not even at the pumpkin patch yet. We haven't even got to Halloween tonight. I'm already ranking fall. See, now I'm okay. He's losing it. Sorry, folks. I know it's nice stories. I had to calm down. I'm trying to help you get to sleep, not wake you up. But here's my point. We've already listen. It's 11:48 p.m. We've been talking 48 minutes about fall. It's already crowned itself as the goat of seasons. All right, let me get back to these comments because man, there's a lot, and I want to keep helping tell your stories too. Oh man, I gotta scroll back up. Okay, where did I leave off last? Dwayne was talking about the vanilla chai. Okay, uh, let's see, Maria, butternut squash soup. Oh, stop! I'm gonna start eat. Okay, maybe I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna get a snack after this. Butternut squash soup, baked acorn squash stuffed with sausage and walnuts. The flavor of fall sticks to our ribs. Maria, it was always serendipity that we would be friends, know each other. That phrase, not only do we use it in this household, I was raised with it, sticks to your ribs. Eat your oatmeal in the morning, it'll stick to your ribs. You're right. But that sounds like an amazing uh, uh, collection of food there. I'm very hungry. Chad's in the house, of course. Oh man, anytime. You know this. Doors always open, Chad. Doors always open on night stories. You know that. You're the man. As a fall tradition, what I love, my wife, fantasy football. Well, let me tell you something. Football is a huge deal. College football, we love pro football. Or Cleveland Browns fans, God, I can't even talk about it. I'm not even going to talk about it right now. But let me tell you this: my wife is a fantasy football champion. I've been in a league with one of our dear friends for the last 3, 4 years. I've never won a fantasy football championship. I've never won, and I know a lot about sports. Corey will tell you, I know a lot. I know a lot about the players, but she has a strategy. She's done her research, and so does she. She's a huge football fan, and she literally was a champion in the league. She won. We put a little bit of money in there. She won money. And I agree. One of our favorite fall traditions after, let's say, going to the apple orchard, picking apples, is coming home maybe Thursday night, maybe Monday night, maybe Sunday night, whatever. Pick a day. Saturday night. It's football all the time here. And then watching our teams and then watching the players at the fantasy football is an amazing tradition. Couldn't agree more. Chad's coming in with more poetry. Here we go. I talked about sharing your fall experience. Waking up to a dim morning. Sun poking through the blinds. I told you this. When are you releasing? Look, there's David Sedaris. He's got his thing. There's Chad. I'm telling you, man, you're a book of short stories from your time and your perspective. I'm serious. I love the way you write this. So I didn't mean to interrupt myself here, but let me see. Waking up to the dim of morning, sun poking through the blinds, seeing the orange, yellow, brown, and red leaves, some falling, some rolling around with the wind, and pouring a hot cup of coffee in a mug. Doesn't end there. Walking out to the chill in the air. That's right. I don't know when you joined Chad, but it's funny. We're talking the same language. You walk out to the chill of the air, the smell of bonfires at night. I freaking love it. And you know what, Chad? Maria had mentioned that this is the best fireside bonfire season these next 3 months. Again, I keep mentioning a lot of us are Midwesterners. Not everybody here, but I'm saying like I know a lot of people love that. People on the West Coast, East Coast, people who live on the beach, they love a cool, a beach bonfire. My whole point is, Chad, we were saying that smoke, that smell. I swear it's because people are having bonfires all year, or I'm sorry, all fall long. And when that flame goes down and the smoke is there overnight in the wee small hours of the morning, it becomes etched in the air. It's almost like the molecules become part of the air that we all breathe. It's a universal damn experience here. I'm getting fired up. And Corey's right. We have a process about apple picking first. Got to go apple picking first. And we just almost finished our journey there. We're going to move on to picking out a pumpkin here in a second. Chad, we have pumpkin patch 2 miles from our house. Lots of things to do. What a perfect distance, by the way. That way you're not driving, you're not like, get in the car, kids. We're driving for 45 minutes. Everyone's, no. 2 miles is a perfect distance. So Chad has a pumpkin patch 2 miles from our house. Lots of things to do. Large corn pit. Oh, apple cider donuts. Yes. I got my own story on that one, Chad. You just inspired me. Tell me, it says chestnut gathering, Maria, another fall flavor. Maybe it's a miss. What? Tell me about this chestnut. Is it chestnut? Is it a gathering? Is it coffee? Tell me what I'm missing there, please. Corey, that's right. We were talking about this. It ends up reiterating, not to be redundant. I know some of these get delayed because of the stream. It ends up being 80 degrees, and I spend most of the time running from wasps. Hey, they want the apple too. They want the apples too. We're not going to share it. Oh, Dwayne recently got a food dehydrator, made a few Ziplocs of apples to snack on. This is, you know, I thought this was Night Stories. This is like a resource group for making fall even better than it was. This is, I've already done it 4 or 5 times. I'm sorry to tell you, this is for everyone who's streamed here. Sorry for the late night applause. Sorry if I woke you up. It's Night Stories, but we're going to cheer. Sometimes you got to cheer at night. It's not midnight yet, so we're still good. It's a damn support group. I love this. All right, I'm still going here. I'm going to get through some of these titles, and we're going to keep going with the stories. I just love seeing your comments here. Dwayne, what you don't realize is Corey has probably already ordered this on Amazon. Thank you, Dwayne. No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And that's a great idea. And I agree. I agree, Corey. And just in case Dwayne mentioned, it is on Amazon and available. I love it. Margot, welcome. Welcome to Night Stories. Amazing. The fall potpourri. Margot says and it has the fruit, like the dehydrated fruit, like Dwayne's talking about, and it's got the cinnamon sticks. Now, come on, now we didn't even get into that yet. You go to, you know, you're going to Bath and Body Works and getting those fall soaps. You know it. You're gonna stock up on the winter smells too, but you know you're going there, or someone in your family's going there. And not only do you have the soaps, maybe you got some candles in the fall. Chad's telling the story. Maria's telling the story. All these folks are telling the story about that fall. You're having that cup of coffee, midday, evening. Maybe you leave the windows open a little bit. It's still cold enough and warm enough where it can make the house perfect. And then you put on got a candle and do some potpourri. Margot, you're amazing. Chad says, we have a one every fall, huge bonfire. Wife makes homemade chili. The food, guys. I think everyone here, we just got to surrender to the fact that we're all going to snack either before or after Night Stories. Sorry if but this is beautiful. Wife makes homemade chili, hot cocoa, and cider, all sitting around the fire listening to music. I, I actually, I'm not even, I got like choked up there. Flannels, give me all the flannels. Chad, I was saying earlier, I think before you jumped on the stream, I've been, September 1st, I'm coming out with the flannels. We had a week of 50-degree weather, 48, 50, 55-degree weather. I'm all flannels. We had fake fall, Chad. I don't know how it is out there in Missouri, but literally, I have all the flannels. I'm doing the flannel thing, and then it's 85 degrees again. I'm in a state of depression. Oh, okay. So Maria, chestnuts, they come in. Oh, chestnuts. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. They come in spiky husks. They drop from the trees. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, and you just like the song. You know what's so funny? That's the I've actually you're gonna so Maria, I'm getting so excited by this. She's talking about chestnuts. I I've sang the song Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, and I can smell it. I I haven't had one before. And it's hard for me to admit because I'm a fall guy. I haven't had one before. You're going to have to keep educating me about why fall is still the greatest season of all time. All right, let's get into the stories about the pumpkin patch, and then I'll get back into the comment section here after the top of the hour, and then I'll do another station ID. So, say you went and you did your apple orchard day. You went apple picking, you did your thing. You had the cup of coffee. The air is cool. The bonfire smell is there. And maybe you have another bonfire. We got a whole stack of wood, and every night we can in the fall, we're doing a bonfire. There's nothing better than sharing stories with people you love around a bonfire, roasting some marshmallows, having the hot apple cider or the coffee, just seeing the flickering of the flame on their face, and there's something beautiful there. It's something ancient, we know that. It's something that's been happening for forever. We've all gathered, and I feel like fall gives us, at least in the cold weather states, gives us the permission to gather around that fire and to eat and to break bread and to have conversations and to remember the people around you, how important they are, no matter what's going on. And I started the show by saying so much wildness is happening. And there's a lot of smart folks and maybe not so smart folks, but people talking about that. That's what they do. It's not lost on me, but I know what I do, which is to share stories because stories are the things we come back to as an anchor. Stories are the thing that remind us of who we are and who we can be. There's a communion in that. And I think that happens in fall. There's so much of that. In the midst of a season that's shifting and moving towards, at least in a planetary level, a seasonal level, to where things are cold and bare. Eventually they get there. And wait till we have the holiday episodes for Christmas. I mean, I don't even, there's going to be too much holiday magic here. But we got all these things going on in the fall, but you can't forget the pumpkin patch. I got to tell you, just driving up to that, sometimes, they're small. Sometimes they have the whole shebang where you go to the pumpkin patch and you pick your pumpkin out. What I do is I take the kids, and we've been doing this. I told the kids recently, I said, listen, you guys are getting older. And I know I have a lot of listeners out there that have teenage kids or kids who are going to college, and they're still our kids. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, not maybe you don't have kids. Maybe you have nieces, nephews. Maybe you have young kids. But my point is, as they start getting older, these seasons matter more. These moments in fall and all the seasons matter more. And it's not that you won't have them again. You will, God willing. You'll have them again. You hope. But it changes in the sense that they're changing, you're changing. But, it becomes something that you can rely on for tradition. And it's something where I try to establish that too. And I tell all the kids, I go, will you still come out with me to get these pumpkins even when you're like 45? Would you still do that with me? Yeah, yeah. I said, no, no, I'm being serious. I'm not actually just, this isn't me being nice. I'm dead serious. I won't do well if you don't. Dad's not going to do well if you don't. So will you guys do it? Yes, yes. All right. No, I'm serious now. Now I'm serious. We're going to the pumpkin patch. No matter what, you're going to bring your kids, bring everybody. So that's the future. So I don't want to rush to that. But my point is now I take them and we go to the patch. Sometimes we go to this roadside place. Sometimes we go to the one that's way out there. You got to walk. But it's hard because you got to get the wagon and do the whole thing. But I say you can pick any pumpkin you want. Get the weirdest one, get the biggest one, and they just pick the weirdest, biggest pumpkins they can. We got gourds, and we got the ones that we have for carving. You got to have those designated carving pumpkins. Then we have the lookers, right? The ones that just look a certain way. It's there for show. It's there sometimes to scare people. And I will say, my wife has a unique name for these. She calls them. Sorry, Corey. I think it's the cutest thing. She calls her bumpy or bumpy pumpkin, bumpy. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing because it's the ones that have the weird knobs and notches on them. It's almost like those ones. Those are the ones you're looking for, the unique ones, the ones that look different. And I have them all pile those into the car. We take them home, and we lay them out on the porch. And now we're set up for the Halloween season. Now we're set up for fall, and carving jack o' lanterns and doing the whole thing. And then we're set up also at the end. of fall. Right as we're heading into Christmas, there's a tradition, and I'll save it here, that we do just as a way to kind of give back to the backyard and all the woodland creatures. I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with one of my favorite bands from the 90s and still playing today. All right, let me get back to some of these comments. Before I do, let's do a quick station ID. You know what I'm saying, station ID. This is Night Stories. I'm Aaron Calafato. I am your storytelling guide and voice in the dark here. We're streaming on Riverside. You can join the Riverside studio just like a regular radio studio, and it's commercial free if you don't have that commercial free version of YouTube. Just by I pinned it, you can sign up for my 7 minute story newsletter. That's my made podcast with pretty wide audience there. We've touched 30 million ears in the last 2 years, and you just sign up for that. And we just send 4 or 5 emails a year, maybe a couple updates. That's it. But that gets you access into this studio, which is commercial free, and you can still use the chat feature. So cool. So far, I think it's been good. We're also streaming on YouTube. We're also streaming at 7minutestoriespod.com/night stories. Tonight, we've been talking about why fall is the best season. I have to tell you, so far, there hasn't been a lot of argument. There hasn't been a lot of people pushing back and and saying, no, fall's the worst. No, here's the thing. I want there to If you don't think fall is the best season, let me know why. Give me a quick, here's why. And this is what it's about. I think it is, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you don't have fall. Maybe you never experienced it. Maybe you just can't stand it. My daughter is always like, I love fall, but dad, every time it comes around, I end up getting sick. The allergies and something happens and nasal congestion. There's a lot of stuff that goes with it. But tell me why not? Because we've just walked through a whole thesis here of stories, the sights, the sounds, the smells, and we're already halfway through the day. We're at the pumpkin patch. You've already gone to the apple orchard. We have another tradition that we do. We go to a place called Ramsire Farms, and anyone in the Ohio crowd might know about that. We go there, and it's like a whole amusement park for the kids. It's the farm. They got the pile of corn. I mean, the giant corn stadium. I think Chad was talking about it earlier. And the kids always come home. No matter what, they got corn. You can't get out of your shoes. There's so much corn everywhere, but they swim in the corn. They go down the slides. There's the fried donuts. Mm. We make it a thing where it's like we cannot miss that. Huge deal. So we got the apple orchard. We got the pumpkin patch. Now we got the gourds and the pumpkins. It's on the porch now. We got our Cleveland Browns flag out. It's painful, but we got to do it. And it's got great fall colors too, by the way. We may not have championships since 1964, but we got the colors. We got that out. And now we got the pumpkins, we got the gourds on the porch. Come on. Don't you like going outside too in the fall? Everyone's like, I love it. I love being outside. I'm out. As soon as fall hits, I'm out. And I'm out all winter long too. Let's get to some of the comments here. Margot's back. Margot says, done, solved, fall's the best. I appreciate it. There you go. Margot couldn't agree more. I love it. Chad was saying that you guys, okay, so you had a fake fall too. You had a fake fall. We had it too, 50, 60 last week. Now we don't see 70. We won't see 79 until after we can have. That's the troubling part. That's the troubling part of September. What about for any of you folks that aren't in the Midwest? What's the weather like out on the? You're in California. You're in Oregon. You're in Washington State. What's the weather out there now like? Same thing. It's like 60s, 70s. What's your fall like? I don't think I've ever been out there during the fall. Is it the what do you got going on out there? Because you see in the movies, right? So much of they take geography in the movies with the regions that do those things well. So you're only you're not seeing a lot of Christmas movies in LA, right? You're always seeing the Christmas movie where it snows. And even if it is a place that doesn't snow, what do they celebrate in the movies? It's like it's the Lifetime formula. It's like it's the first snow ever. We can't believe it. It snowed. That's for winter, right? And so in the fall, you know what the storyline is. You know, it's the small town, and Corey and I talked about this, like writing, making our own our own network of lifetime storytelling network for podcasts. But you know the formula, right? Successful guy or gal in the big city, been out there working at a marketing firm for 15 years trying to make their way to the top. The boss has a lot of demands, but they're trying to figure it out. They've been dreaming about this for a long time. They had a vision, they had hope, they knew they could make a difference in the Big Apple or wherever they're at. But they can't quite forget where they came from. They got to go back. Maybe something calls them back. Probably their dad's having a hard time with the farm. He had a recent injury or there was a tragedy in the family. He's trying to keep that pumpkin festival going and he's had a hard time. Now he wants to resist that because he's been providing for the family for a long time, but the son or daughter, they're back and they got to help. And they are resistant too because they got a deadline in the city. They got to get back. And if they don't hit that deadline, they don't know what's going to happen. So they reluctantly and sometimes with an attitude come back to their hometown. They see the faces that they always ignored. But over time, that town starts to take a toll on them in a good way. Start meeting some folks that maybe had an influence on them that they didn't expect. Start re-falling in love with that town, that small town in America. They end up going to the Pumpkin Festival helping out, and they found their best friend from high school who actually ends up setting them up on a double date where they unexpectedly meet that person that they didn't like that much in high school but is done well by him or herself in that small town and reps that small town. In fact, maybe that person went out to the big city and it didn't treat them well. It's now there they are, two folks at a turning point in their life. The leaves are falling, the cider is hot, the festival, it was challenging and they came upon some obstacles, but together they figured it out. And then they realized, you know what? Why don't they combine what they do? Maybe one of them's running a small nonprofit in that small town, and our friend who came from the big city, maybe they open up a boutique marketing agency, especially now that they can do it online. That right there is the formula, and that right there has to be in towns in New England and all these places where it looks like fall, right? I always wondered that. Chad's loving the outside too. Fall, winter outside. That's right. I know. Hey, it's the only time to be out. Chad says my daughter's still trying to wear her Uggs and sweatpants to school. I keep telling her it's Missouri. I love that we won't get that constant chill till mid October. That's late. We start getting that chill. We will get, and we have in the past. Again, weather fluctuation, all this kind of stuff, you know. But in the past, it would usually be snowing at times. Our first snow usually comes mid-October. Many times, I remember it's been. I remember it has snowed on Halloween before, and it at least rains. It's always tough, but yeah, it's you hope for that. At least for me, I hope for that chill. We'll probably get it maybe late September, early October here in Northeast Ohio. Dwayne, thanks for checking in. I love this. Southern Oregon, high 80, current 70, low of 55. Dwayne, if you're still there, do you get the foliage out there? Because that's a whole other thing we haven't talked about yet that makes fall one of the greatest seasons ever, if not the best, is the fall foliage tour. Are you nerding out like me and doing the fall foliage tour? Because I am. Something I used to laugh at when I was 25. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm doing the foliage tour. I'm going town to town, farm to farm, all the places, looking at the leaves. It's beautiful on the eyes. But what is it like out there where you're at, Southern Oregon? And then does it? What about the temperature, Dwayne? Does it get like? Do you get into the 40s and 50s as you get into October? I know you're up there, right? So I mean, just help educate me because I've never been out that way, and I'd love to see how you see fall. Oh, it's a great question. Chad's popping in. Aaron, what age did you decide you loved fall the most? Certain memory you can tell us about. Yeah, I got one here for you. Uh, yeah, I'm going to hold it here. I'm going to tell you that story in a second. I'm going to get just a couple more comments here. Margot's back. Fall over everything. Couldn't agree more. I don't know who better than. Oh, better than Ezra. I know what you're trying to say. Better than Ezra, Kyle. Always representing better than Ezra. All right, let's get some more stories here about the fall. So, Chad, your point, favorite memory of the fall, man. There's so many. Let me take you back to. It actually works as a perfect transition because we can start talking about Halloween. Now, everyone's got their own thing about Halloween. I like a spooky Halloween, but like a night, like not scary. I've never understood and again, never my intention to offend, but like I never understood like people loving like really terrifying stuff because for me, I'm scared as it is all the time. I shouldn't say that. I'm saying there's enough scary stuff in the world. We know that just from the news cycle and what we've experienced here in this country. There's scary stuff happening all the time. So for me, I like a corny scary movie. I like a movie that's like spooky and suspenseful, but I don't like to be terrified, or at least I don't like kind of going down that road. But I do like the idea of, in the at least in the Mexican tradition, the Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. I love the idea of looking at fall as a transition, not just not in the seasonal sense, but in the spiritual sense too. That there's a connection point, and uh, there's something there, and I love the how they honor it in a non-commercial way, where you're giving offerings to those, and there's a day right where there's a connection point between the living and the dead. I'm interested in the phenomenological kind of impact of that and the cultural impact of that, so I like it for those reasons. And I love trick or treat too. That's the fun part. I like the idea of taking the kids out and letting them dress up and they kind of do whatever. It's an exciting time. It's like a party, so I love that part. But on that note, and Chad, you were asking about a story, I think, and you know, I'll keep it. I don't want to get too emotional here, but one of my first fall memories, I think maybe why I loved the fall was Halloween was one of my favorite days, but not for the reason you might think. I liked dressing up, and I was one year I was Skeletor. I don't know why I was Skeletor because I loved He-Man, but I think it was just something that my mom could afford. Had a Skeletor outfit. One time I was Charlie Chaplin. One time I was like an actor. Like I dressed up, but it wasn't about the dress up because I don't remember doing trick or treat probably until I was about 6 years old was the first time I really remember doing it. I know there was memories before there, but they're locked somewhere. But after I was 5 years old, my parents got divorced, and it was really tough for me. And I'm not, world's smallest violin. My point is, it was difficult, and my father left, but he eventually came back. A couple years later, I was about 7, 8 years old. Um, Maybe it doesn't matter, but 6, 7, 8. But it's fuzzy. But my point is, he was gone, but then he came back, and then we were able to visit him. But it was still limited. It wasn't the same thing. My family was different, and the access even then, I didn't have the same kind of access to him. But every Halloween, my dad would take me trick or treating, and I remember dressing up and getting so excited because I never went trick or treating with my mom. It was just with my dad. And I remember he was driving a red Celica at the time. Pull up in the red Celica. You ready? I'm ready. Had my bucket, probably one at McDonald's that you got in the Happy Meal. But he also said he would bring a plastic bag from the grocery store to say, here's for extra candy. And always tell me, say trick or treat. And he goes, look people in the eye and say thank you. That was the key thing. It was like a manners teaching opportunity. But I didn't resist it because I was with my dad. And all those smells that we talked about and the sights and everything, They were all there in that evening, that cold evening, October 31st. And there's a little bit of sadness there, not just because I knew the night went quickly, but a lot of times in Halloween, you go to school the next day, and I was like, that always sucked. I always felt it was torture on kids. That's why with my kids, I actually let them take the day off the next day because to me, it's a holiday. You're out trick or treating, you're stuffing yourself full of candy. Maybe some people don't do the trick or treat thing. They have a party. Maybe everyone has a different tradition. Sometimes you get the little fire out in the driveway or in the backyard, the bonfire. You order pizza, you watch some movies. It's awesome. But either way, you're having a party. It's always tough. The next day, it's like Wednesday morning. Let's go to school at 6 o'clock. It's like, come on, folks. But going back, I knew that night was fleeting, but I enjoyed every household, and I loved when my dad would tell me, "Good job, you said thank you." It was a way to make eye contact. It was a way, so I think for him it was a lesson in communication and being able to connect with people, but also in manners and how you treated your neighbor. That was a big thing, is how you treated your neighbor. And at the time too, you know, at least it was my parents. They always freaked me out because they were like, "Don't eat any of the candy until we check it. We got to check the candy." Now, I took this literally and still do to this day. They said, sometimes people got weird, or whatever, but they would check the candy literally. Like, is there anything weird here? They do anything like putting weird stuff in the candy? They would check every piece. Now, maybe my parents are just a little OCD. I think sometimes they were just doing it to eat the candy. Now, they could have been the gag the whole time, and I'm just not in on the joke. But before we got to that part of the night, I just remember walking. Sometimes it was in the rain, sometimes it was in the cold. I could see the breath coming out of my mouth, anticipating each house and making sure when I was walking that the sign was if the light was on during trick or treat, then you could go up there. If the light was off, that means no, no go. We're not participating in this. And for me, even though it was fleeting, it felt like forever. It felt like the longest night in the world. Just like as a kid, summer feels like an entire lifetime. It's the longest night. And I remember walking with a bucket full of candy that I couldn't wait to eat and holding my dad's hand. That's probably my favorite fall memory, or at least one of them that kind of sparked it all. I think it's one of the things too. Fall starts reminding me, or at least us, it's the start of the holiday season. It's the spark, and don't get me started on that. To me, that's the other reason why fall is the greatest ever, because it is the start of the holiday season. We're just getting warmed up. You're starting to do family stuff because it's starting to get colder. The earth is getting colder. We're starting to come together now. We're out, flowers, we're doing our things, we're running around, but now the family really comes together. Like, theoretically, whatever the family structure is, that the idea of that for you, things start coming together because necessarily, historically, one, people weren't able to go out. So you had to like store food, you're canning food, you're getting the harvest, you're getting ready for the wintertime. And that brings you closer and closer together. And that's why I love those activities, because you're enjoying the harvest, enjoying the food, the fruits of that labor, but then you're also doing it together, and you're starting a tradition now for the long haul because you guys are going to be together for a while, probably here in the Midwest until like March. I love that communal aspect of it with family and celebrating those things. And it's just the start of it, because now you're talking apple festivals, pumpkin patches. Now we're moving into Halloween. We're doing all kinds of bonfires. We're doing all types of, all kinds of stuff. We're not even in Thanksgiving yet. Now that just kicks it off. So Halloween to me is the kickoff. Now you're going in to Thanksgiving a month from now, and then I'm not even going to brush into the topic of Christmas, because now Christmas time, all bets are off. It's unbelievable. To me, one of the reasons fall is the greatest. You're staring out at, like, for me, the best 4 or 5 months ever. Now, for everybody, it's not the same. I know that. Everyone, it's like sometimes like, oh gosh, I'm just saying you can get something good from it. Somewhere, somehow, there's so much good that happens. Let's go back to some of the comments here. You're listening to Night Stories. I'm Aaron Calafato. I'm your storytelling guide. If you want access to the free or commercial free studio here, you can sign up for the 7 Minute Stories newsletter. It comes out 4 or 5 times a year, and that's it. Maybe a few reminders here and there, but that gives you access to it. We're also streaming on YouTube. We're streaming, I think, on Facebook, about 600 other thousand places, and also at 7minutestoriespod.com/night stories. I'm going to get to the comments here in a second. I know there was Thursday night football tonight. Let me get a final score here. Oh, man. Was that? Yeah, there's the. Oh, looks like Green Bay, the Packers, 2-0. Woo. Sorry. I know, Kyle. I don't know if you're listening still. Sorry about the Washington football team. I know that's they went down, man. I hope that's good news for my fantasy team. Anyways, always want to give you a sports update, especially if we're streaming on a Thursday. For those of you who follow along, so the Green Bay Packers win 27-18. It's a good start to the year. God, that's got to be a great place for fall too, up in Wisconsin. I know one of my buddies, TJ, he's up there or was up there touring. Sent me some pictures. Wisconsin, man, it's a great state. Okay, let's go to some of the comments here. Margot's back. Well, thank you, Margot. I appreciate your story. You tell a story like a painter paints. I appreciate that, Margot. That's why I love doing this, and I'm glad that resonated. Maria, I say the exact same thing. There's enough scary in the world. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like I like spooky movies. I just don't go crazy to get scared because there's all this scary stuff happening. I'm like I don't need more of that. But a good mystery, hey, call me lame, good mystery, good suspense movie or something really corny. I love that. Uh, okay, Dwayne's checking back in. Thank you about the Dwayne. By the way, I didn't mean to put you on the spot from a West Coast standpoint. I'm like, tell me about the exact weather, Dwayne. Dwayne, I need to. Dwayne, I'm sorry, man. Let me read what you said though. Thank you so much for giving us that. I didn't mean to put that on you. It starts to really get cool in November in Oregon. So Dwayne's out in Oregon, and I was asking him about if you're just joining us, what fall is like out there. I don't know. I know what it was like in the Midwest and the East Coast and some other parts of the U.S. I just didn't know what it was like. So he says it starts to really get cold in November. Um, last 2 weeks over 100. We don't get a lot of colors. Maybe mistype. Maybe I'm reading wrong. Okay, so you don't get a lot of colors from the foliage of the trees, but mostly okay. So that's why. Okay, pine and oak trees, not much color change. Ah, okay. Now I'd be curious. It's like I'm saying, like Dwayne, I'm not putting you on the spot, but does the foliage for anyone listening? Does that make a big difference? Like, you still can enjoy fall without the type of foliage. I think for us, it's like a big part of it. The leaves, like the types of trees. And it's funny, you think about this. It's like Dwayne brings up a great point. If you're not seeing all of those colors, what is fall like? I'm sure fall becomes colorful for you in your own way. That's a very, very cool perspective. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, Vicky, great to see you here. We loved neighbors who allowed us to cut through their yard. Yeah, going back to the trick or treat days, right? You got you got to make your way, cut through the yards, get to where the candy is. Those are great neighbors. That's amazing. Um, Chad, love that. He says, "Thanks for that story. You're welcome. Thanks for asking. I do the same thing. Oh, for your 7-year-old boy, shake hands, eye contact, speak clear. That's right. You're a good dad. You're a good dad, Chad. And I know for me, I have a complicated relationship. I love my father, but he did good by me in that way, teaching me that going to strangers' house. Because now when I to my kids too, I do. I'm like, you guys say thank you, not just to say it because it's a lesson, right? Of being like, hey, thanks for giving us the candy. And Dwayne, I think you were saying candy tax. That's right. That's probably what they were doing, the candy tax. But I think there was a time, tell me if I'm wrong, there was kind of a weird thing where people were afraid of people putting weird stuff in candy. So I remember my mother like actually checking every piece of candy. And now I do it for my kids. And Corey's like, what are you doing? You're checking every piece. I'm checking every damn piece. You never know. Let's see, love that. The check the kids, right? Okay. Okay, the check the this see, Chad, this is what I'm saying. The check the candy is a scam. Like, hey, Dad, I know. It's funny. I know that, but maybe they were just great actors, but they were really looking through it. It wasn't just that they were taking it and like, oh, it's a scam. They never let me in on the joke. Like, here I am, the fool, all the years later. Kyle, I'm sorry. I'm listening. Was trying to calm down. I love. I'm doing night stories to calm folks down, and here I am talking about the Washington football team losing to the Green Bay Packers, and now I've made your night not calm. But yes, I'm not referring them to to their name. I just want to say, Kyle, I'm here for you. No more football talk. And I'm sorry. At least you're not a Cleveland Browns fan. And of course, I don't know if you saw this. Browns, and I love them. They're inventive in the sense that they have invented new ways to lose. The Cleveland Browns, if you didn't know, last week had a game not only all but one, but statistically, no team had ever put up fewer yards in the second half in a losing effort, the Cincinnati Bengals, and won in the history of football. Why don't you think about that? When you have a culture, it permeates its energy where you lose. What's wild is you have to break through that, and we just never have broken through it. You actually become good at what you do, which is finding ways to lose that are almost it's almost artistic. It's almost a beautiful thing. How is that even possible that they did that? So it's tough. And now apparently I saw that some of the Browns players are talking trash to the Ravens player. By the way, the Ravens lose a heartbreaking game last week. So now we've not only fired them up more, now they're going to be angry. Plus, we're saying, I love that Browns players talking trash. Anyways, go Browns. I hope they win, and I hope we beat the Ravens. But sorry for firing you up, Kyle. Maria says, I love seeing everyone in our little village out and about on Halloween. Yeah, there's no other holiday where all the generations participate in some way. Then there's a bonfire in the park and cider and donuts for sale to support the volunteer fire department. It's like you're you're hitting me. I know exactly. And you know what's funny, Maria? I know it's not the same for everybody, and I know you've been to a lot, different places. Um, Everyone has their own tradition: urban, suburban, outer urban, rural, and so it's different for everybody. But there is something universal about that small town feel. I was just talking with someone today. In fact, I wanted to tell everyone tuning in right now. I mentioned uh, the season premiere of 7 Minute Stories is next Thursday. And I'll give you all a quick preview of what I gave, I think, on the last rerun, summer rerun episode that we had. Uh, I literally went to a location on our public square, a place that was a barber shop and that is being transitioned into a new business. And the folks leasing there and some of the folks involved let me come into that barber shop. And actually, I recorded the story within the barbershop, talking as I'm looking out the windows of this place that isn't a, it is in transitions. The walls are kind of ripped up, the carpet's ripped up, but it's the same. Well, I don't want to spoil it. My point is, there's something special about this barbershop, why it mattered so much to me, and I try to figure out in this story what happens when the places that help store our memories, the physical locations, go. I know some people go, oh, they're just places, but they have something there. And to me, I was always, and still am, I get worried when things change like that, what happens and how it impacts the memories that we made there. Anyways, all of that in a new 7 Minute Story is this coming Thursday and the season 6 premiere. So just wanted to give you a quick preview there. But Maria, you talk about a Hallmark town. I just saw that come through. I think there it is. I live in a Hallmark movie. Yeah, so do I. In where we're at, Medina, the city of Medina, they call it. It's like a sister city to the fictional Stars Hollow and the Gilmore Girls. And what a lot of people don't know, and I'm not going to get weird. Well, here I am. I'm getting really geographically nerdy with you. But Northeast Ohio, and those of you who are from here know this. Those who aren't, was originally part of the Connecticut Western Reserve, the Western Connecticut Reserve. Anyways, in New England, you had these folks who either had money or who were just adventurous and trying to create new opportunity, came out into Northeast Ohio and settled and created small towns and bigger towns, and it all developed. And then you have Cleveland and Akron, and you have these large urban areas formed. So Northeast Ohio has a New England essence to it. It has an East Coast essence and foundation there, and makes it different than a lot of the rest of Ohio. And you see it in the architecture, you see it in the little towns. And so where I'm at, I literally am on a square that looks like something out of a Rockwell painting. In fact, I call it, it's like the Norman Rockwell experience. You could walk into a painting, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's just kind of Americana propaganda. It's like, no, I get that if you've never been to towns, but there are towns like that. There are towns like Maria's talking about. And it doesn't make it good, bad, right, or wrong, but it's just what it is. And there's something special about a small town, especially in the fall. There's something special about a small town and all the festivals we've been talking about and all the pumpkin patches and the countryside. There's something special about it. And that's why so many people from the city, I used to live in the city. I spent years and years in New Jersey and New York and DC and Cleveland, but so many people come from the city and they come out to these festivals. And I was joking earlier in the show, you see them, they dress up like like they're a character in a Hallmark movie because they know there's something special there. It's those community ties that you're talking about, Maria, where it's, you know, the smallness of it makes it essential. The smallness of a town makes it so that you have to depend on each other, that you see the faces of the people around you, and so it's complicated. It can be difficult, and there's a double edge to every sword. But there's also something special about that, about knowing the person. In fact, as a person who is remote and does a remote podcast and the technology of this remote apparatus has changed the trajectory of my career as a storyteller and as a podcast story consultant. I appreciate that access, that connection. There's something beautiful there, but I also love going to the town square and looking at the barista and talking, having a conversation, meeting a friend, that face-to-face interaction there, actually going to see an insurance agent and talk with the insurance agent. I think there's something special, and small towns offer that. You got me going here. Sorry, Maria, you kind of sparked the whole small town thing. um, Okay, let's go back to some of these comments. Before I do, you're listening to Night Stories. I'm Aaron Calafato. I'm your storytelling guide. I've been talking to you since 11 p.m. Eastern on September 11th. It's been a wild couple of days in America, and obviously September 11th, always a day of remembrance. So we've now moved into September 12th. It's 12:37 a.m. And you know what? Dwayne got me fired up about temperature. I'm going to go ahead and just look really quick and give you all a quick weather forecast in the honor of David Lynch, rest in peace, who before he passed away would always do, especially during COVID, his 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 weather reports, and they were always from Los Angeles, so it was always like it's 70 degrees, partly sunny, skies clear. But where we're at right now, Medina, Ohio, 53 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh man, it's supposed to be clear all night, and it looks like it's going to be a low of 49, 50 degrees, which is nice. And we get back up to 78 again. Here we go, fake fall. I'm talking about fall being the greatest season of all time, and this weather is trying to stop it, but we're going to get there. All right, let's get to some of the comments here. Margot, thanks for being so active here. I appreciate it. I think this is your first time on the stream. I appreciate that. Um, will I do a winter episode? Yeah, we're going to be streaming every Thursday, so you better believe I'll do a winter themed episode as well. And I'm going to do a holiday themed episode, however you celebrate, but the holiday season. Excited to talk about that. Excited to talk about Christmas and the way we do stuff here. I'd love to share your holiday tradition. So, yes, Margot, we're doing an episode there. What a great thing, by the way. It's like sitting back and listening to that kind of stuff and talking and sharing stories, nothing better. Um, let's see who else is here. Dwayne, how about the weirdest things in your bag? Oh, the Halloween bag. Okay, I got a couple stories for you, and that's probably why my parents checked it. By the way, Dwayne, because you never know. People, that's really funny. I have one for you in just a second. Let's see. Oh, you're right. You could take it to be X-rayed for razor blades. Look, Vicky, and that's what I'm saying. There was something going on with that, right? Am I wrong? I know that. Am I wrong? Maria, I too live in a Hallmark movie. What else we got? Um, oh man, Chad's coming in with the weather format, or excuse me, the weather report in Missouri, Hope, Missouri. Low of 8 or low of 68. Friday's high 92. Here we go. Yep, I got. Listen, I know everyone's trying to sleep here. I got to move away from the mic really quick so that I don't. So I'm not gonna. I don't want to wake you up, but I got to say something. Summer's back. Are we done here? Are we done? We're sweating to death. Can we? We're cooking. Bring in fall. Okay, I'm done. I didn't even scream. I just had to. We're getting there. Weirdest things in my Halloween bag. I can tell you a story. There was one of the funniest things was, oh man, we had a neighbor actually who passed away unfortunately recently, and he when we would take the kids, it wasn't when I was a kid. We would take the kids trick or treating. He would put potatoes. He'd put potatoes on the table, and he would just say, I think he would say like trick or treat or a potato or something like that. The kids are all asleep, so they gotta correct me. But he had potatoes, and I remember one of the funniest things I've ever seen was all three of my kids picked the potato. I thought that was the most sensible choice I had ever seen in my life. They, that's crazy. Potatoes, and I remember we baked them. They got potatoes. They put it in their Halloween baskets, and when we went home, and Corey kind of covered them up. By the way, here's a little tip for you. I mean, those of you who know how to cook, you know how to do this. Corey took the potatoes, kind of covered them up in olive oil. Olive oil from Spain, by the way, that lets you do it so it doesn't burn really bad. And she covers them in Himalayan salt. Ooh, baked them up. Some butter, some sour cream. Forget about it. Forget about it. Yeah, that's unbelievable. That was one of the weirdest things in the bag. Dwayne, walnuts and loose pennies when I was young. Yeah, I think what happens sometimes, everyone's got different circumstances. And so for those who don't have stuff and they feel like they got to give something away, I think that warms my heart. But you're catching some people off guard sometimes. I know as a parent, it's like, wait a second. Oh yeah, wait, I'm staying home. Who's handing out the candy? Did you get the candy? How much candy do you get? Because you got the flow of traffic. Are there going to be a lot of kids this year? Sometimes there's hot spots in neighborhoods when you go trick or treating. You got to know where to go to get the good candy, to get the candy bars. You got to know. And then there's sometimes where neighborhoods shift and change, right? Where it's like, oh, we don't go there anymore. And you got people who buy all the candy and they're left with all this candy. And there's times in our neighborhood too, because we have a little bit of an older demographic in our neighborhood. They're so wonderful. They buy all this candy, but by the time it lasts about a couple hours. Was it go like 6 to 8, something like that, Eastern time? So they're walking around by 7 o'clock. These folks are just getting rid of candy. They got piles of it. They're digging in there with their hands. My kids hit the jackpot when it comes to that. But I think sometimes if you get caught without the candy or you turn the light on, here's the issue: it's the light on. It's trick or treat time. Light off, it's time to go, it's time to walk. But if you have that light on and you got four kids who are, dressed up, they look great, they're cute, they got their costumes, they're going trick or treat. I'm wondering if they're just, here's some pennies, because you want to give something. And everyone's like, thanks, bro. Like, what are you going to say? Like, no, like, get out of here. Trick. It's like, now I know that was like a whole thing. That was a whole thing. But that's probably where those loose pennies come from. I wonder. That's funny. Walnuts, though. I can't, I tell you what, the walnuts, that is hilarious. That's crazy. Does everyone else? popcorn balls is a great one, and yes, they do in our neighborhood, Dwayne. They do. They give out popcorn balls. What about the neighbor who gave out pennies or popcorn balls? Yes, floss a toothbrush. Now that there it is. Thank you to them. Hey, I love that. It's like have some candy, have some popcorn, brush your teeth. That's very wholesome. I love that. Dwayne, you're right. The candy bars, man. You got to know the houses. A lot of times you go to some of the now, we go. We're like, all right, we're going to go to the wealthiest neighborhoods. You go there, they give out the big candy bars. They're awesome for doing that. That's a beautiful thing as well. But the flow of traffic for that, you got to know where the neighborhoods are, and that is a thing where it's hit or miss when you get the candy or you you get too much, you give you don't have enough. Unbelievable. Margot is asking a very interesting question here. Do you consider now that we've moved in and past October in our thesis here about why fall is the best season? I'll do a quick recap before I get to the final story here in the final monologue. Margot asked, "Do you consider Thanksgiving a fall tradition too?" That is a great question when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'll give everybody some time here to drop their comments in. Great question, Margot. You know, it's funny because recently what we've been doing, and I want to hear everybody else and mention their thoughts on this, is Thanksgiving a fall tradition. What we have done because we are so intense about the Christmas season, and this might be controversial, or this might literally, people might go, Aaron, Night Stories has taken, you've done too much. To me, I consider November 1st the start of the Christmas season. That's me giving a round of applause to myself. I really do. And what we do is we have a fire for Halloween, and after all the candy's been passed out, and after it turns from 12, when we do a countdown from 12 or 11:59 to 12:01 a.m., and that is when we officially usher in the Christmas season. Can you believe that? November 1st. Now, here's the thing. I know people are, what are you talking about? Now, here's what I'm saying. It's still fall, okay? Just hear me out. It's still fall, but I call it almost like the appetizer to Christmas. For me, it's not, we don't go right from Halloween and then all of a sudden it's all Christmas stuff. No, no. We still have the we still have the pumpkins, we got the fall vibe, but Christmas starts to inch its way in. In fact, we start doing a thing, Corey and I, where we begin to watch what we call non essential Christmas movies or fall movies. You got the Hallmark Channel, you got Lifetime, you get all that good stuff, right? All the corny stuff. We start watching non essential Christmas and holiday movies. Holiday movies include Thanksgiving movies. There's a few of them. Holidays include, again, we've moved past Halloween, so we're not doing any of the, scary movies or Halloween stuff. But we start moving into the holiday season. So the first part of November to mid November really becomes a hybrid between fall and Christmas. Now, I still consider it fall, Margot. I still consider it fall, but I will say we put up the Christmas tree, just the Christmas tree. It's going to blow people's minds the day of Thanksgiving. I, I know I've we've sent shockwaves through the live stream. I can't wait to get into the I can't wait to get into the comments here to see what happened. I'll say it again. October 31st passes. We say Halloween's great, fall's awesome. We then say fall's still going. We're still doing fall. But on November 1st, we've officially moved into holiday season with a Christmas essence. It's fall with a Christmas essence. Let me tell you, we usher this in, and I'm going to tell you how. We usher this in with Frank Sinatra's Jingle Bells. They might take the monetization off this on YouTube or whatever. I don't care. Don't be afraid. Don't turn off the stream. If you're asleep, I've done my job here. We've kind of, okay. Frank Sinatra, the whole thing, whoever owns it, this is their thing. Here's my thing. We play a Christmas song on November 1st, but it doesn't take over. It doesn't mean there's no fall. We got the foliage, don't get me wrong. So to answer your question, Margaret, that's a very long, drawn out, and frankly strange thing that I just shared. But my point is, it's very distinctive. September 1st is the start of fall season for me. We then take it all the way through October 31st, which is still technically fall. But then November 1st starts the holiday season, which is still fall with a Christmas essence. So, do I consider Thanksgiving a fall tradition? I have to say yes and no. Because, on one hand, yes, it is the last technical fall tradition, and it is also the beginning of the true Christmas season. Here we go. Let's get to these comments. They're on fire. Uh, let's see. I got to go back into these ones. Okay, so Vicky, going back to the Halloween, my mother kept a yearly record of how many kids came to our door. Vicky's talking about the trick or treating. How many people came to our door by writing the number in pencil in our front door closet. That is an amazing system. That's an amazing system for Halloween. That's incredible. Let's see. Scheduling the time, going back to the trick or treating, Chad goes, scheduling the time also. What houses to hit earlier, the better. Strategic planning as a kid. You got to be strategic. Listen, it's when you're a kid, you got to get what you can take. It's tough out there. You know what that was like when you were a kid. You're out there. A lot of us were feral kids. We were we were. I grew up as like a feral kid. You know what I'm saying? They had the keys under the mat. We had to make our way out there. So yeah, you had to be strategic to get that candy. And Maria, completely respect. I can't give up the fall until the day after Thanksgiving. Respect it. And I actually, to meet you halfway, I'm there too. Fall's not going anywhere through November. It's still there. It's got a Christmas essence. It's got a little bit of cranberry sauce. Christmas. It's got a little bit of Christmas dust on it. It's got some snow, right? Why is my voice doing this? But you know what I'm trying to say. It's fall. It's fall, but packaged in an ice crystal. Old man's winter is right there. I'm with you, and I can take that all the way up to Thanksgiving. But I respect the fact you keep fall because fall is the greatest season, and for me that's why it's beautiful too, because you can elongate it by starting in September, taking it all the way through Thanksgiving. Amazing. Definitely fall. However, Christmas decorations can be out. See, this is what I'm saying, Chad. You're in the hybrid state. You see what I'm saying? You're adding both. That's okay. Here's the beautiful thing, customize it. Fall's another thing where you can always make it feel like fall, but then add your own personal touch to it. You like to start Christmas a little early, add some Christmas essence, but you keep it fall. Or you're going hardcore fall, like it's nothing but pumpkins and gourds and turkey all the way until December 1st. I think we all have to agree, though, even though the season of fall, here's what's wild, the season of fall technically goes into mid to late December. I think it's like December 22nd. Let's do some research right now. I know we're heading towards the end of the show, but let's do a little bit of actual important research right here on the spot. When does fall end? 2025. In 2025, the astronomical fall ends Sunday, December 21st this year with the winter solstice. And this date marks the official beginning of the winter season in the Northern Hemisphere. See what I'm saying? So we're talking the technical detail here is the start of fall is Monday, September 22nd, 2025, the autumnal equinox, and the end of fall is Sunday, December 21st, September, October, November, December. I mean, you're looking at 3 months, but really, I'm counting 4 technical months. It's fall can is a long season. So squeeze it for what it's worth. Squeeze all the pumpkin seeds out of that pumpkin. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's keep going here to these comments, and then I'll get you all set up with the final monologue. Unless you guys want to keep talking, maybe we'll go over a little bit tonight past 1 a.m. That's right. It's cozy. That's the thing, Maria, too. It's like it's cozy, right? It's flannels, it's movies, it's family. It's all the things we've been talking about and telling stories about tonight. There is something magical that starts in the fall and really, as many of us know, go through all the way through the holiday season. Now I know, and God willing, all of you guys will keep growing this live stream together, and we'll be together, or at least I'll be here for you. You got your own lives and stuff, but when you can tune in, we'll be together all the way through Christmas, all the way through New Year's. Here's where we're going to have each other's backs. We're going to be in the winter at some point. We're going to be in the dead of winter, which I've learned to love and appreciate. I'm going to share why when that time comes. But when we start going into mid January, it's going to be tough. When we start going into February, March, even late March, and getting into April, it can still get kind of cold. But those will be the tough months for a lot of people where they're like, it's this, but there's good stuff there. We're going to get out of it. And one of the best things to do when it's really dark and it's really winter is turn on the old radio dial, even if that's on YouTube or you're in Riverside, and really connect and stay connected in those cold months. But we're not there yet. But right now, yes, cozy and fall. And I have not seen any comments so far. And again, I'm streaming through like 6 different places trying to sift through all of it. And again, I apologize, by the way, if I'm not getting to some of these. I'm missing a lot because they fly so quickly by. Even at this late night hour, I'm just trying to catch them. So thank you for sending them. And if I missed you, I tried to get Margot with. I think that was your first time here at Night Stories tonight. We heard from Mike, Megan, a lot of M's. We have let's see, Chad jumping in here saying, my kids each have their own Christmas trees for their rooms. We put up a dining room tree, master room, bedroom tree. Here we go. I love Chad. That's what I'm talking about. Let's give a preview right now to the Christmas. Let me. I just cannibalized that comment. Let me try it again. My kids each have their own Christmas trees. This is from Chad for their rooms. We put up the dining room tree, master bedroom tree, and hallway trees by Thanksgiving. That's what I'm. See, that's the thing. That I align with you 100% there. We get the real tree day after Thanksgiving. It's almost like we are on the same wavelength. I also have a tree, for Christmas tree for all of my kids in their own room, a little tree. And we do that right at the beginning of November. We kind of put those little trees in there and we go from there. Awesome stuff. Let's see. Dwayne's asking, how about the things you like and dislike about fall, having to put up Halloween decorations? Okay. Like I said, I think I lucked out. I don't have a lot of things I don't like about fall. Maybe it was the allergy stuff I was talking about earlier in the stream. What it's okay, but there's I also have a circumstance though where I don't have the trees. We just have tons of trees in our neighborhood, but nothing that overhangs our front or back that much. And the one that does, I don't know what kind of tree it is, but it's like these little tiny little leaves. Uh, so I don't have a lot of raking or any annoyance there. I think, yeah, I can't think, I'm going to flip this back. There's nothing about fall here, at least in Northeast Ohio, that I don't like. Do you like an apple festival? Absolutely. Am I going, no, don't take me to the apple festival? No, I'm going all the way. Am I saying I can't stand a pumpkin patch? No, I'm going to that pumpkin patch. And then, do you not want to have a bonfire? I want to have a bonfire with everybody all the time. If I could, right now, this is like a bonfire. It's just a digital bonfire with all of us. Love that. I actually also love in fall. Here's another hot take. I like that it gets darker early. See, some people would say I don't like that about fall. Now, the way they do the time change, I think we got to stop with that. I think it's kind of an old agricultural thing because even when you don't do the time change, it still gets darker early. I think it's kind of obscene when they do the artificial time change. I think we got to stop with the artificial time change. Set the clocks back. But I will say I get excited when we do set the clocks back because I feel like I get to go back in time. I feel like I'm Marty McFly. Like, I don't know, Doc, I'm scared. Marty, get into the DeLorean. Like, I love the idea where it's like it hits 2 a.m., and all of a sudden it becomes 1 a.m. again. And I always have a phrase that I say, I go, let's do it again. Listen, I might have this storytelling thing on lock and the podcast thing on lock and all that stuff. I'm still just a weird dad who says that says weird things where I go, let's do it again. Everybody rolls their eyes. I'm like, what? Yeah, and we're all up. But I love the idea. You know what I would love? I would love for this live stream to happen on a night. Wouldn't that be fun? Night stories for the time change, at least here, where I go to, 1 o'clock all of a sudden or 2 o'clock and it becomes 1 o'clock again. We do it another hour. I don't know how many people would be left. Everyone should be asleep. West Coasters, mountain timers, you know, maybe you central timers, I don't know, but it'd be really late. But I might do that. I might do a time change night stories. But even that, Dwayne, I don't really dislike that. I like the I like when it gets darker earlier. I like the October sky. And not only the movie, it's a wonderful movie by the way if you haven't seen October Sky. But I love the literal October sky here in Ohio. The pinks and the purples and the blues and the way the sun is like fire out in the distance. There's no sunset like that pierces through the clouds. It's like a painting. It really is a masterpiece to watch that from, all of creation. It's unbelievable to see all of that. And that happens in fall in a very particular way and it happens and starts in September. But man, the sunsets in October, forget about it. It's unbelievable. I don't like that. Or excuse me, I don't mind that it gets darker early. I like that. I actually like when it's darker at like 4 or 5 o'clock. I know that's crazy. I know people are like, I can't stand it. For some reason, I just like it. It makes me appreciate the light even more. I like to go out and do stuff during the day, but it's kind of cool at night. It feels like you're kind of like I don't know, like a teenager, just kind of getting away with something. I don't know. A lot of people get tired. I think that's the other thing is I'm a night owl, clearly. I mean, it's 1:02 a.m. Eastern time here. I'm a night owl. So for me, that when it's dark out, I get energized for some reason. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's the moonlight or the magnetic pull on the oceans. I don't know what's going on, but something happens, man, in these molecules. And the night is like, oh man, I get kind of excited and feel curious and creative. I do my best storytelling at night. I record most of my 7-minute stories right here in my studio at the other mic. You can't see it here, but I'll paint a picture. In the corner here, in my studio, I got my live stream mic that I'm using right now for all of you, and then I have another microphone, a Shure microphone that I use for backup mic, Zoom calls, things like that. Like if something goes to the like crap during this live stream, I'll use that mic. And then I have another microphone, which is my oldest mic. It's a 7-minute story mic. It's a Shure MV. I'm going to get nerdy here. It's a Shure SM7B, that kind of classic microphone, and it gets plugged right into a zoom uh, that captures the sound on a card. That's it. But it's in the corner and it's all foamed out and sound protected. But at nighttime, that's when I tell the stories when everybody's asleep except me. So I love that about the fall, Dwayne. So I'm going through all these things trying to honor your question. There isn't anything that I don't like about fall. And I think that's why, through my personal prism, it's the end of summer, check. At the end of fall, it's the beginning of winter, check. It takes me into the holiday season, check. It is part of the holiday season, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then leading into Christmas, check, check, check. The weather, it's my favorite weather. And and those of you who know, I'm now becoming that person that annoys you. Perfect temp for me, perfect temp, 58 degrees and partly sunny. That's a fall temp. That's a perfect temp. I could do 56 degrees. I could do 55. I do 50. When we go 48, I'll go 48. But 45, let's do it. 42, I'm in. My range now, I told you my favorite temp. My range, I go 32 Fahrenheit, 32 freezing. I'm all about it. I like cold. 32 to 62. That's my favorite range. That's livable, man. That's living. Kings kings and queens join in those temperatures. So yeah, Dwayne, that's a great question, and I hope I answered you there. How about the things you dislike about fall and having to? I'm sorry, the things I dislike about fall. There's just nothing, and even the okay. So let's end here, and then we'll have a couple more comments, and then I'll hit you with the monologue here to kind of close us out. Unless people want to keep going, we can do it. The Halloween decorations are a thing. Now, when the kids were younger, I did a lot more, and that is something where I'm pretty intense. I put the decorations up. They were heavier when they were kids because we did the bats and the lights and all this kind of stuff. I went crazy, but now I've pared it down a little bit. As I've gotten older, I've gotten more refined with these decorations, and now the kids don't care as much about the lights and stuff. So I still do all of the foliage stuff. We got the colors, we got the pumpkins, we got the gourds, we got all that kind of stuff on the front porch, and then I do a couple of things with Halloween, and we do things inside. So Corey handles the inside. She's I got all the Halloween decorations and baskets in the garage, so I just bring them out, and we have a day where we just unpack them, and then they go all over the house. And that's where you get the fall potpourri, the hand soap. Corey's a whiz. She's incredible. She's got the house smelling like a damn cinnamon stick all the time. Cinnamon stick. You know what I'm saying? It's like apples and cinnamon and fall. You want to talk about heaven? Something beautiful there. So we got the inside decorations, the outside decorations. So it used to be a heavier lift. It isn't that heavy of a lift anymore. Margot says, "You're a living season." I love them, and I do my best. Chad, preach. Yes, same. Love the darker days. Yeah, I do as well. I do as well. I'd be curious. We've talked a lot with folks who are out there on the West Coast, and I know the Midwesterners here. We got folks in New England, and also all over in Canada and in the Midwest and Ohio and Illinois and all that stuff. I'm curious to be in the South. I know it changed with the hemispheres, right? But if you're in the South, what is the fall season like for you? I mean, do you have your own sense of like, oh, do you think about fall in the same way that a Midwestern that I've described tonight, where it's apple cider and all that kind of stuff, or is it because of the climate? It's just like, no, it's just another month, or is there kind of an autumnal equinox and again, I know it differentiates with when you hit the equator and stuff like that. But I'm just wondering, as you go south, seasonally, even if it's different temperatures, are there those traditions? That's an interesting thing. Maybe someone can hit me in the chat with that this evening. And I love Chad coming in Sunday, Here it is. You know what? I'm going to start working on the soundboard here, but I wanted to do a news bulletin. Beep 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 beep. Actually, you know what? Let's do it right now. That's it. We deserve this. We've done well tonight. We're gonna do. See if I can get this one going. Here it is. Because I was just gonna do it myself and go beep 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 beep. Here we go. Let's see if this works. Nope. Oh boy. Well, then I'll just do it myself. Beep 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 beep. News bulletin. Chad says Sunday, November 2nd, daylight savings time. Plan on it. I know. I just wish they would keep it the same. I'm all about the darker days, but like you kind of mess with the time. But yeah, I love doing it again. And and hell, maybe I'll do a live stream then. Mm, that's a great point of view. Dwayne's checking in. I have better hours for work now, but I didn't like leaving for work in the dark. Yes, and getting home in the dark. That's a great point of view. I like the darker days, but to your point, if you're not seeing any sunlight, that can be a thing, man. That can be difficult. That's a great comment. Oh, Manolo, great to see you here. I love the fall, my favorite season, but seasons are kind of foreign to me. Yeah, you mentioned you're from Puerto Rico. We have two seasons, hot and scorching hot. Oh man, so I'd love to hear, I know we're getting on time here, at least in the eastern part of the US. But tell me a little bit about that. So it's hot and it's hot. And tell me though, what makes it your favorite, Manolo? What makes it your favorite? Because so much of what I've talked about here on the stream has been, temperature, the smells from the fire, and so much of it has to do with that sort of change. We have all these we have like, in Ohio, and people know this in the Midwest, we have 5 seasons in a day sometimes. You go to March, April, or even hell, I mean November, it'll be raining, snowing, sunny, hot. It's like we have the craziest stuff happen in our seasons here. But what about it there? Is there something in the air? Is there a tradition? That's a beautiful thing. I know for me the fall has always been a mix of all that. You have the visual with your eyes and the smells and all those traditions, but it is a sensory experience, a deeply sensory experience here in the Midwest. Margot says fall and winter are her favorite. You know what? I couldn't actually. Fall and winter are probably my favorite too. Believe it or not, I like spring, but there's stuff about spring. We'll get into that when it comes to spring time. We'll talk about it. I like all those. I'd say fall, winter, spring are my favorite. Summer, get out of here. I don't. I have such admiration for people that can be in, like Manolo was talking about hot weather. I have such admiration for my friends in the South, my friends in Texas, my friends in Georgia, my friends in Florida. I don't know how you all. I don't know how you have to be tough. You got to be tough. Now they say the same thing about us up north in the winters. You got to be tough. You got to be tough in the Cleveland winter. Buffalo winter, oh, it's a whole nother story. You got to be tough. Those cold winters. I love a cold winter. Thanks for that, Margot. I appreciate it. Oh, let's see. Yeah, okay. Manolo got back. Awesome. Let's see. So it's the foliage. It's always green in Puerto Rico. We have hundreds of shades of green, but all green. That's interesting. So I think green. I think sort of a monolithic thing. Hundreds of shades of green. Fascinating. Manolo goes on, and I hate the heat. No, man, I hate the heat. So temperature going down is always welcome. In Kentucky, it's at KY, I think Kentucky. Now we are getting on average at 10 days. KY, I think either that. Tell me if I read it wrong. Is it Puerto Rico or Kentucky? But either way, in there we're getting on Kentucky. Okay, we're getting on average 10 days more above the 100-degree index. Come, folks, it's time to turn down the temperature, and I mean that. I started the stream saying this has been crazy here, so much happening, and I'm so glad to be here with you, sharing stories, kind of connecting in an authentic way. Um, because I think, as I said at the beginning of this, stories kind of anchor us through all these trials and tribulations, and they, I think, pull us towards the best of ourselves, where we lean into what, in a deep, deep, deep way, makes us human. And so that's what I'm good at, and that's what I stick with. But we got to lower the temperature that way. But we also got to lower the temperature. Like, this is crazy. I At some point, man, Manolo, I hope that you get to experience a midwestern fall, or hell, a winter up here is a whole nother story too. But that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. All right, we got a couple more here, and then I'm gonna kind of take us to our evening ending monologue. Thanks for all the chats tonight, everybody. Everyone who streamed in, I really appreciate it. Dwayne says, when it's cold outside, you can always put on more clothes. That's right. When it gets over 100, you can you can only take off so much before upsetting people. Oh man. Oh gosh. Okay, I'll give you this, and not that everyone's waiting with bated breath, but there's so many projects going on I'm working on. I mentioned, obviously, season premiere of 7 Minute Stories, September 18th. Make sure and tune in for that. I also been working with a resident artist and a friend of mine, Pete Whitehead. If you've been a fan of my storytelling in 7MS for a while, you'll know Pete does and did a lot of the artwork. And we've kind of moved from him doing artwork on the podcast tiles to now us working on little shorts. And it's funny that you said that, Dwayne, because we're working right now, and I just got not a final version. We have a couple of tweaks left, but we're actually, and I'm saying this now for the first time, we're piloting our first 7 minute story cartoon illustration, and it's all synced to a story that I told, and it's all scored, but it's a custom cartoon style in Pete's drawing, and I'm in there, but it tells a story. And the one that I picked, of course, it was about temperature. It was about 58 degrees and partly sunny, and it tells a larger story about why I love that temperature and why I love walking in the winter. I don't know when we're going to release that on YouTube or to the public. It might be something where I do it in the winter time, or at least in the when it gets colder. But at some point, I will make sure that people that tune in here, or that are subscribers to the email list, like many of you in the Riverside studio. We started with 117 tonight. I can't believe there's still 63 people in the Riverside. So I was going to tell you guys, go to bed. No, it's nice stories. I'm glad you're here. But I don't know when we're going to release it, but you all will be the first to see it. I can't wait for you to see it, because it tackles that same thing you're talking about, Dwayne. About the winter is great because you can add layers. I tell my kids, I'm freezing. Put on a coat. It's wintertime. And then it's wonderful. You have the flexibility in the fall. That's another, score it up for fall. When it gets cold, you can get warm. When you're really hot, you can get to a place where Dwayne says you can only do it so far until you upset people. Then you go, you take your skin off. You can't do that. You're stuck. I understand why Manolo was saying earlier on the heat is tough to deal with. Yeah, he's talking about the climate change. It's a real thing. Our holiday season in Puerto Rico starts on Thanksgiving and ends February 2nd. Okay, I love that. See, okay, so I'm gonna try this, man. So don't, and Manola. Interestingly enough, my mother. I'm setting myself up for failure here. My mother is was a Spanish teacher for 30 years, and she's a translator for the courts and a lot of nonprofits. She lived in Mexico and Spain, and she's like unbelievable fluent, wonderful Spanish speaker. And a lot of folks native to different areas are like, you really speak well, and even dialectic. She can do the kind of lisp that they have in certain areas of Spain. So, anyways, I say all that to say I'm just giving my mom a thumbs up, 5 star. But I'm gonna try to say this: February 2nd, Dia de la Candelaria. Now, tell me a little bit, if you can, about that. I don't mean to put you on the spot, Manolo, but I'm interested in that, because there is, for us too, we talked about fall all night here, but we couldn't help. You can't talk about fall without talking about winter and the holiday season. I'm just prepping. We are going to do a live stream in the holiday season around Christmas or whatever you celebrate at that time. But the holiday season, December, and we're going to just talk all holiday traditions. It'll be a great, great night. So I hope you join me for that. We're going to share stories and talk about that. But for us, there is the we do I you know we have Christmas, and then we also do Three Kings, do the Three Kings, and that comes like in late January. So we go all the way through the new year and then a week or two into January. But I'm loving that. You're going to February 2nd. I'm going to talk to Corey about that. We better extend it out. Extend it to Feb 2nd. That would be, why not? Sometimes I'm like, I drive around the neighborhood here and I'm like, guys, will people take down their Christmas tree? I got to start thinking twice about that. In February, I'm talking about, I'm driving around going, why aren't I become the Christmas tree police? Who am I? Who, like, I'm like, why do they have the Christmas tree out? What, I'm telling myself, why are you worried about it, Aaron? Leave these folks alone. They just want to have Christmas all year long, all the way through. It's beautiful. Okay, so Manolo, we jumps in. We have Thanksgiving, yes, perfect. Christmas, New Year, Three Kings. That's what I was talking about. Get those shoes out, folks, on Three Kings. If you don't know about Three Kings Day, even if you don't celebrate, it's a fun thing to participate in. Get those shoes out, and we always put a little bit of straw or a little bit of grass for the for the camels that come by. You don't know, they put little treats in the shoes. Um, Octavitas, 8 days of celebration after Two Kings Day, Saint Sebastian Festival, and Candelaria. Dude, that's what I'm talking about, man. This was great. Thanks for sharing this. Thanks for sharing this, Manolo, in the chat here. That's beautiful. You know, so let's wrap up tonight. And well, first, I want to thank everybody who tuned in this evening. I think we did a pretty long stream. We've gone 2 hours and 27, now almost 28 minutes. It's 1:20 a.m. Eastern Time. It's now September 12th, 2025. We started September 11th at 11 p.m. I'm Aaron Calafato. You've been listening to Night Stories. I'm your storytelling guide through the night. I hope this finds you well. I hope whatever you're doing, whatever you're going through, all the stuff that's swirling around, that this is a place where we can just connect and tell stories. And like I was saying at the top, and I don't usually start it that way, all this stuff going on, it's not lost on me. It actually impacts me a lot, but I try to stick with what I know. And what I know is that at least what I offer as a storyteller is a way to kind of bring people to the table and share in our common humanity. And I think that's a great start. It's not perfect, but it's a great start. So I really appreciate you all being here. I really appreciate your participation and the willingness to talk about stuff that's nostalgic and fun and relax our brains a little bit, because we all need a little bit of that moment to reflect, that replenishment of our minds. And stories help us replenish our minds to face the world, to try to figure out the meaning that's in front of us. And that's a beautiful thing. Maybe my voice and this evening helped, help you fall asleep. If it did, I did my job. I'm glad. I want this to be a place where people can relax, talk, tune in, tune out. Maybe you're working third shift and you're commuting, or maybe you're just kind of chilling, and maybe you're having a hot cup of coffee, maybe some cider, maybe some ginger ale. Maybe you're parched, you're having a little bit of water. Maybe you're just laying down in bed, you got the phone and the earbuds in so you don't wake up the significant. Maybe you're working out, maybe you're doing chores, maybe you're just sitting on the couch and just relaxing. I'm here to guide you, and I've been guiding you here and telling stories. And really, we've been having a great conversation tonight about why fall, my thesis, is the best season ever. And we made a great case. I got to say, it's one. I think fall as a season is the best season for all the reasons we talked about tonight, for all the festivals, and at least from the Midwest point of view, the apple orchards, the pumpkins, Halloween, the air, the bonfires, the family, the connectivity, all of that stuff. And it is the start of the holiday season too. It's the end of the summer, it's the start of the fall, and it's the spark of the holiday season that gets us through the end of the year. And I think that's an important thing when we talk about transitions. You got to hang on to those bonds and those cultural moments as friends and family and neighbors to get us through seasonally difficult times, just like literal difficult times, kind of hold on to each other there. All right, let's wrap this up with a sort of an observation. I talked a little bit about here in Ohio the leaves falling and the irony of how something that is in the process of dying. I'm not trying to be morbid, I'm just being real. Even trees in the process of dying, there's beauty there. And I always wondered what that's interesting that I never thought of it that way. That the dying leaves, the color of them are so beautiful, but they're at the last part of their life. They had their heyday in the summertime. Like Manolo was saying, the green, the green, the green. It was green here in the Midwest for a long time. And all of a sudden, right around September 1st, September 2nd, maybe the last couple of days of August, you'll see that first leaf drop. Do you remember the first leaf that you saw drop this year, wherever you're at? I remember I was taking a walk and I saw one in the park I go to, deep into the woods. I saw a little leaf, yellow, twisting in the wind, falling slowly. And I said, there it is. It's the first leaf of fall hitting the ground. Damn, at least for me. And I knew we were off to a good start. I'm thinking, why do I get so excited about this? I mean, most people are summer people, right? Most people are like, this is what it's all about. Now it's ending. It's ending. It's sad. And here I am. I'm happy. The ending of this sort of from a naturalistic physical nature standpoint, things are going away. It's going to be bare trees. It's going to be cold in winter here in the Cleveland metro area. Why am I happy about this? I thought that was ironic. It's like, yeah, there's colors and all the things we talked about, but and that makes me happy. But really, when you think about it, it's kind of weird. Shouldn't you be mourning the end of the year instead of celebrating it? I'm celebrating it. I think one of the reasons why we celebrate, and I don't know this from a sociological perspective, this is just a storyteller lens, kind of living life and not being the youngest of the young, but not being the oldest of the old, kind of just being right there, lived enough life where I can say, feels like it's an exciting time because no matter what's happening around us in the physical world as humans, because of the privilege we have to, through our history, our struggles, to not be dissociated with nature, but to, and at times we are, but to have created comfort in nature, to create enough to have some controllable aspects, a home, warmth, heat, these things that not everybody has, but that many of us have access to. By no doing of our own, by the way, but just the following the trail of the human ingenuity and the drive for humans to not only survive, but to have a better quality of life, for us to have a deeper experience. What would that bonfire be like without the fire? I mean, what would those stories be like if you're out there just in the dark with nothing? I mean, it would be a different type of storytelling, right? But the fact of the matter is that the environment that gets controlled, or at least managed, allows for a deeper transcendence of connection between people, an emotional one, a conversational one, a story driven one. We start kind of ascending in our human pursuits because we're not just dealing with the survival aspect of the physical world. That's exciting to me. The other thing about fall, as the leaves are falling around us, is that we're coming together, I think, to hang on, knowing and hoping, maybe I shouldn't say knowing, but hoping that, and with a deep knowledge that as we prepare for winter, that there's a hope for spring. I think there's a deep knowledge, and the knowledge goes deeper than the brain in our sort of hearts, that we always hope for a new year, a new cycle, that it's cyclical. We're aware. It might be different, but we're aware of our environment that there's a cyclical nature to it. And even though the sort of road for many is uncomfortable in the wintertime, it's not as green. It's not even fall with pretty colors, but fall is to me a time to celebrate the end of the sort of the life, and then the movement into death, so to speak. And I don't mean this literally, I mean metaphorically, right? But at the same time, it's not an ending. And I'm going, oh, that's why I'm so excited, because we're all kind of binding together so that we get through the winter together to see something anew. And when you get to that new moment of spring, you can see it all happen again and again. To kind of nerd out here, I remember there was a show I got really into, Battlestar Galactica, and I remember there was a line in there that said, "This has all happened before, and it'll all happen again." I don't know what that means to you, but I know for me, it brought me a sense of comfort. And at least when it comes to seasons, that's an exciting thing. And damn, even outside of the emotional, the reflective, the nostalgic, romantic aspect of it all here that I've been laying it thick, there's something beautiful. There's something beautiful about the end of the season and the hope for a new one. And then being present in what you have right now. And I can't tell you, there's no other season I'd rather be present for and in than fall and in Ohio. And I hope wherever your fall is, whether it's physical or mental, that sense of joy and excitement and wonder and seasonality and all the things that go with it for our senses, that you have your fall wherever you're at, and it's a wonderful thing. I want to thank everybody tonight. Appreciate it. You've been listening to Night Stories. I'm Aaron Calafato. I've been your guide. We're going to be signing off right now. Tune in next Thursday for a new live stream, Night Stories. I will say, I mentioned last week, I've been talking with a special guest we might be having here. If for some reason we stream, I think we might stream here later in the month on a Monday. If you are, one thing that's going to help to get notifications for when special guests come on. Some of them are going to be friends, some of them are going to be celebrities, people that you know. To get that, and many of you have, make sure you subscribe to the newsletter for 7 Minute Stories. That way, we have the emails in our system. That way, I can hit you with a notification just to say, hey, Thomas Nicholas from Rookie of the Year is coming on, but we're not doing it on a Thursday. We're doing it on a Monday. That way, we can send it out ahead of time just in case that changes. Because I know there's a few folks that we want to have on, but they just can't make it on a Thursday. I think Thomas Nicholas, actor, musician, he's one of them. So we might be doing it on a Monday. Other than that, make sure that you tune back in every Thursday evening here for more night stories. Make sure that wherever you're seeing this, if it's outside of Riverside, if it's somewhere out in the social world, hit that like button. That like button goes a long way because it just tells the algorithm to tell more people that you have good taste, and it sends it out to more people like you who want to listen to this. Like it, do whatever you got to do. Subscribe, hit the notifications, and all that kind of stuff. And also tell someone about it. If you know someone, if clearly you know a lot of people, but a friend, family member, someone you love, and texting is great. Just to say, hey, I listen to the storytelling podcast. It helps me fall asleep. Sometimes I laugh. Sometimes I think the guy's an idiot. But either way, you should check it out. I think it's a very pretty real experience we have here. So if you would like someone else to listen, and also someone who'd like to talk in the chat, like the hundreds of you here in the Riverside studio and however many out there in social media land, to come into the chat and share your stories too. Would love to have you. I want to thank you, Dwayne. I'll kind of give you the last comment here of the night. We thank you, Aaron. Can't wait for the next season of 7 Minute Stories. Can't wait to share it. Tune in, follow wherever you get your podcasts. Um, this will be great because next Thursday will be the launch of 7 Minute Stories, the podcast. And hell, we'll probably talk about it, or at least some of the themes that came from it that evening here on Night Stories. Signing off. Appreciate you all. Good night.